Hey, thanks for joining me on my channel. I'm Gareth, this is Film and Photo, and I thought I would start using my channel for doing some tutorials on tips and tricks that I've learnt along the way as a photographer and filmmaker. So today we are going to be making a simple cinemagraph for Instagram in Premiere Pro. So cinemagraphs are a really great way to bring your photographs to life. Essentially what they are is a short video that gets looped over and over and over again when posted to Facebook, Instagram. And how you make them is by getting a bit of footage that we then lay a still image over the top and mask out an area of movement to be happening. When filming, it's important to keep the camera steady. So it's always best to use a tripod, and then we're going to bring the footage into Premiere Pro, and I'll show you how to do that now. So we're going to load up Premiere Pro. So you'll import all of your footage. Okay, so this is the footage that we're going to use. I'll just show you. Okay, so that's the footage that we're going to use. How we do this, if we start a new sequence, I am going to use a preset that I've already got made for using Instagram, and we're going to use Instagram vertical. I'll leave the frame size in the description, but you can also see it just here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to modify this footage just to smooth it out a bit. It was shot at 50 frames per second, and we're going to export at 24 frames per second so we can kind of give it a bit of a slow-mo feel. This isn't always necessary, but it just helps smooth out the motion in the hand. So we're going to drag this in. We're going to keep existing settings. You'll see it's not fitting the frame. So that's an easy fix. We go over to the effects controls up here, and then we'll scale it up until it fits the frame, and then we'll shove it over so we've got the bit that we want in frame. So that's about right. So this is now what it looks like. You can see kind of the slow motion in the hand, but it's this bit round here that we need to smooth out. Okay, so now we need to find the still that we want. So finding the bit where the hand is kind of at the stillest. So this little section here is kind of the bit that we want. So we will click this little button here, export frame, and make sure that it's import into project. Okay, so we've now got the still frame. We're going to drag that out over the top, pull it to the beginning and to the end, and now you'll see that it's essentially just a photo. So what we need to do next is we know that we need to be about here on the timeline. If we click on this sequence, the new photo, and we're going to hit the opacity, the ellipse tool, and drag that out over the ball. So now if we play that back, you'll see the hands keep moving, but the ball is not. So the way we fix that is by clicking on the invert button. So now as we play it back, you'll see that the ball is the moving part. The rest of the image stayed still. I'm just going to give it a little bit of feather just to kind of smooth the difference out between the still and the footage. And then we need to find the part where the ball moves the least in position. We're going to just, don't need the audio, so we get rid of that. So we'll zoom in, and we know that we need kind of this tiny section here where the ball's hardly moving up and down. So about there. We hit Command K, and then scrub through. So just before it starts to slow down. Command K again, and we get rid of this bit that we don't need. So we're left with this kind of ball spinning round. Now we need to duplicate this bit out. So the way you do that is by hitting Option and dragging. Drag it back to the beginning of the playhead, and just keep doing that until we've filled up. So I believe these need to be about 20 seconds long. And all we can do is grab these and duplicate those together. Now if we play these back, you'll see it should just look like a continuous loop of the ball. So that looks good enough for this. You'd perhaps spend a little bit of time making sure that there was no jitter between the first frame and the last frame, but for this it's okay. Just going to keep duplicating. Okay, so 20 seconds is about there. Command K the end off. And there we have our Cinemagraph. There's a little bit of jump in here. So you would fix that by shortening these sections so that there's less difference between the first frame and the end frame. And that's important to remember as well when making these. This first frame here needs to be as close to this end frame here when they're looping on Instagram, so that you don't see this kind of jump from the beginning to the end, or from the end to the beginning. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of colour on it. So we're going to add an adjustment layer, drag that over the top, make sure it's selected, and then come over to the Lumetri colour, creative, and I quite like this kind of orange and teal look, so we're going to select that and bring that right down to about 35. Then if we head up to the basic correction, we can warm it up a touch, add a bit of contrast. You can play with these as much as you need. Kind of bring the highlights down, make the blacks for the sunglasses a bit blacker. Okay, I think that looks good. So just a quick look through. And now what we'll do is we'll export that. So we need to make sure that it's kept the same aspect ratio, and give it a name and where it's going to be, and then hit export. So that is how you make a nice easy cinemagraph. There are other ways, they can be a little bit more complex than this one, and I'll maybe address that in another video. The last thing you need to do is get it on your phone and post to Instagram. The way I like to do it is using Google Drive, but you can use anything like Dropbox or Microsoft OneDrive. They all do the same thing. So that's it, thanks for watching. If you've liked this video, give it a like, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It really helps. If you'd like to leave any comments of tutorials you'd like me to make in the future, then leave them in the comments section. And as always, I will see you in the next video.